We are back here at the Cronkite Sports Live Desk, Season 13. Gareth, Kwok alongside Jacob Rudner. And Jacob, I know I'm a rookie at anchoring, and you're the veteran, but I already got a question to ask you. When was the last time you saw a triple overtime basketball game?
Oh, man, I don't know if I've ever seen that. I mean, if I have, I don't remember it, but I'm going to go with I've never seen that before.
Well, if only you saw ASU women's basketball take down USC just now today. They beat the Trojans 76-75 on a game-winning three-pointer by Riley Richardson, giving head coach Charlie Turner-Thorne her 500th win in her career. But that wasn't all that happened in ASU sports. There was a lot that happened over the winter break.
Yeah, there sure was. We missed about a month here on Cronkite Sports Live in between seasons. Now that we're back for Season 13, we want to recap everything that happened over the winter. It's currently the heart of that winter sports season here at ASU. And ASU hockey, wrestling, and basketball are in full swing. To give you a clearer picture of the statuses of all three of those teams, we bring in a trifecta of WCSN analysts to bring you back into the loop. Hunter Hipple, Ethan Ryder, and Gabe Schwartz all have more.
Despite remaining in good shape record-wise and still being a likely NCAA tournament team, ASU hockey had an up-and-down holiday season. Tough series against Harvard and Nebraska Omaha had the Sun Devils playing about 500 hockey before ripping off 5 of their next 6 games. That 500 stretch also saw some shuffling in the net, as Max Prosdik saw significant ice time due to a struggling Evan DeBrouwer. It was a carousel for a bit, but DeBrouwer seems to have entrenched himself back in the net full-time after last weekend's split at Clarkson.
The Arizona State wrestling team won every duel except one over the break. They started in Las Vegas by finishing 3rd overall in the Cliff Keen Invitational, the highest finish for ASU in 19 years. The team had 2 second-place finishers, and Zahid Valencia came in 1st place and was the tournament's most outstanding wrestler. Then, after a long break, the team suffered their first loss against now number 4 ranked Ohio State by a close score of 17-16. The squad bounced back as they then participated in Chase Field for the first ever collegiate wrestling event at a professional ballpark. They won all 3 duels against Harvard, Campbell, and at the time number 9 ranked Iowa State. They carried that momentum into their first conference duel with a 26-12 win against Oregon State. This gave them a number 5 ranking and a 9-1 record on the season.
A lot has happened since December 1st for Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devils. Since our last show, the Sun Devils have gone 8-6 and currently sit in the middle of the Pac-12 standings with a 3-4 record in conference play. Among the most noteworthy outcomes for the Sun Devils was their 20-point victory over future first-round pick Anthony Edwards in Georgia, Alonzo Verge's 43 points and a 40-point loss to St. Mary's, and the largest comeback in Pac-10 or 12 history, a 22-point comeback win over Arizona this past weekend. If the Sun Devils are going to make a run at their 3rd straight NCAA tournament this year, they'll need to string together some wins against quality opponents the rest of conference play.
Despite trailing by as many as 22 points to the University of Arizona, Arizona State was able to complete the comeback against the Wildcats last Saturday in Tempe. Our Tyler Mannion was there for the recap.
Territorial Cup Round 2, and you know what that means? Remy Martin time. The Devils took a beatdown in Tucson, there's no doubt about that. But Saturday night in Tempe was way different. It didn't start out that way though. Arizona went up 22 points in the first half on the back of Nico Mannion. Fast forward to Nico picking up a 4th foul, and ASU had come all the way back, hungry for a win. The bucket that gave the Devils the lead? Well, who else? It's Remy. The one that won them the game, though, well, that one came from Alonzo Verge. After a crazy game with a huge comeback by ASU and a game winner made right over my shoulder here by Alonzo Verge, Remy Martin sat down in the post-game press conference and he said, "This is the new ASU. This is what the program should be."
This is what we're supposed to do. You know, this is Arizona State now. This is not, you know, back in the day or Arizona State where Arizona would just come in and win. It's not like that anymore. You know, last game they got us, but you know, that shows the character and the team that we have is that we could come back from those type of losses and do this.
So Remy says this is the new norm in Tempe. And you look at tonight and yeah, that may be the case, but they're gonna have to prove it. Reporting from Desert Financial Arena, Tyler Mannion, Cronkite Sports.
ASU Women's Hoops has won 6 of its last 7 games in Pac-12 play, including just today in triple OT over USC. And joining me to bring some more insight on the team's success is WSN women's basketball reporter Chris Ferendorf. And Chris, let's just get straight to it, because we come back from winter break and this team not only beats the number 2 team in the country in Oregon, they also beat the number 3 team in Oregon State. Chris, how are they able to pull off both upsets?
Yeah, Gareth, for you, I have 3 main takeaways. Number 1 would be the energy in the arena at Desert Financial was insane. I was there for both games, and I haven't seen it like that since ASU played U of A in their rivalry game. Number 2 would be their defense. Charlie Turner-Thorne has spoke all year about how important their team defense is, and specifically on the 3-point shooting, they held Oregon to 27% and Oregon State to 10% in both those games. And lastly, it would be the free throws. At the end of both of these games, Oregon and Oregon State was fouling, intentionally fouling to try to get ASU to miss some free throws, but ASU would not back down. They shot over 80% in both games and closed both of them out.
Well, ASU, they can clearly play amongst the best of the best, but the team that's been giving them struggles this season, Chris, is Arizona. The Wildcats have already beat them twice, and so why do you think the Devils have just struggled to beat Arizona this season?
Yeah, I would have to say it's their lack of a go-to scorer. In their first game at home, they did not have a starter score in double digits, and in their last game in Tucson, Robbie Ryan was the Sun Devils' only player who scored in double digits. She did score 25, but they just don't have someone like U of A does in their starting point guard, Ari McDonald, who scored over 20 points in both games. They can just give her the bucket, let her go, and she's that kind of player who will just be able to take over a game for you.
Well, lots of key players have contributed down this stretch for ASU, but Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you're to pick one that kind of has stood out for you, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I think most people would agree with me. It has to be forward Jatavia Tapley. She transferred over from USC just this year. She's currently averaging 12.3 points and 7 rebounds a game. She does it on both ends of the floor. She is ASU's biggest hustler, and I think without her, ASU would not be having the season they have been able to have so far.
Well, Chris, thanks for your time. As always, here at the desk in ASU, they're back in action on Sunday afternoon hosting UCLA. And meanwhile, while we are about to turn the calendar to the month of February, it is not too soon to start thinking about March Madness. Our own bracketology expert, Dominic Stern, projects what each Pac-12 team's NCAA tournament seed may be in this week's Impact.
With every day that goes by, the closer we get to March Madness. Selection Sunday is 5 weeks away. So let's take a look at where the Pac-12 stands. In the latest AP poll rankings, 4 Pac-12 teams are in the top 10. Oregon leads the way at number 3, but don't forget about Stanford, UCLA, and Oregon State, as they are also inside the top 10. Outside the top 10, Arizona is currently ranked at 16, while the Sun Devils are spotted at number 19. As for placing these teams for March, I took a look at ESPN's Charlie Cream's projections. The Oregon Ducks are a projected 1 seed. In the Portland region, 2 Pac-12 teams are projected 2 seeds. Stanford would be in the Dallas region, while UCLA would be in the Greenville region. Oregon State is a projected 3 seed in the Fort Wayne region. And last but not least, the 2 Arizona schools. Arizona is projected 5 seed in the Dallas region, while ASU would be a 6 seed in the Portland region. Keep in mind, these are just projections, and things are going to change over the next month. That concludes this week's edition of Impact. Back to you guys at the desk.
Last Sunday, the sports world was rocked by the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 other people. Bryant made a lasting impact on the world, and his legacy will not soon be forgotten. ASU men's and women's basketball coaches Bobby Hurley and Charlie Turner-Thorne reflected on the late legend's life and the impact he had on them.
My rookie year and his rookie year, my last year, and I remember playing in LA, and I made a move, and he made a comment about Duke, because I had played there. Don't try that Duke stuff here, and he's just, he was a baby. He was 18 years old then, but that was my main interaction.
He was really doing a lot for women's basketball, really supporting WNBA. I have some good friends that actually work with him closely in club basketball, and felt really bad also for them because they're kind of part of his family. But it was kind of funny. I guess he was watching the Oregon game and commented on our defense and stuff not too long ago.
Tracy Smith and the Arizona State baseball team begin their 2020 campaign on February 14th at Phoenix Municipal Stadium. The Sun Devils are ranked in the top 10 on multiple preseason polls. To help us calibrate the expectations for the ASU baseball season and give us a look into the team's media day, here's our Jack Lauderay.
When Sun Devil fans flocked in and sat down at Phoenix Municipal Stadium last year, there were more questions than answers going into the season. They were just looking to improve after two of the worst years in program history, and improve they did, winning 38 games and punching their ticket to a regional. This year's no different. They're looking to improve and take that leap to Omaha.
It's all team-oriented. We're going to go out there and get to Omaha and win a national championship. That's the goal. I think everyone's pretty much on board with that. So.
It doesn't matter. If we go out and lose our first series, those rankings mean nothing. And if we go out and win our first 30 games, it's just about the end goal for us. I mean, that's our goal. That's our mindset. So if we want that goal, we need to think about it all the time. It has to be ingrained in us. We need to believe that we're going to make it to Omaha, and if we all believe it, then it's going to happen.
The way we play is going to obviously determine where we go, but we're not really worried about that right now. We're just worried about the season, the team first. We're trying to get to Omaha. That's our goal. After that, we'll see where we go after that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, I think we go through those, a tough year when we play them all as freshmen, but over the course of that season, it was like we're going to be pretty good, and you could tell we were going to be pretty good. The talent was there, the experience wasn't, and I think as those guys have matured, they've been the heart and soul of our team.
The whole ranking thing and all of that, that's nice, but we talk a lot about it, but that stuff's just on paper. So we're still accountable to the same things we've always been accountable, preseason rankings or not. So it's nice. It's good for them to get a little recognition, but it's on paper. It's what happens at the end of the day. But I like where we are maturity-wise going into the season. I like the options of the pitching staff going into the season, but we'll take some time to figure that stuff out.
I think a lot of guys can feel it this year. I mean, you look around, from top to bottom, our lineup, our pitching staff this year. I mean, this is gonna be a big year for us. It's a good group of guys, and I think we got a good shot at doing something special.
Another sports update as ASU women's tennis took on the University of San Diego this afternoon at the Whiteman Tennis Center in Tempe. The Devils clinched the doubles point, and Ilza Hadding, Teresa Kolarova, and Sammy Hampton clinched the singles points to win the dual match 4-1. ASU improves to 5-0 on the season and will be back in action against UNLV on Sunday afternoon.
From rackets, bats, balls, and gloves to thumbs, controllers, and screens, we pivot to the world of esports on Cronkite Sports Live with a Ring of Fire.
Marvel, I think. It's the only one I've actually really seen that much.
Marvel.
I can build a computer in under 15 minutes.
Maybe some. Not any that can come to mind immediately, though. Not really.
Hidden talents. I'm really good at rhythm games. My fingers are kind of fast.
That's a good question. I don't spend much time with anything else. Let's see. New Call of Duty was great. Teamfight Tactics is really good. And any game by Bethesda.
I really like Melee, Smash Ultimate sometimes as well. A little bit of League of Legends, but I can't say I'm a huge fan of it. And recently, tiny bit of Tekken.
At the moment, Destiny.
It's actually kind of hard. Probably Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
From controlling characters in Call of Duty to controlling the puck while in on the crease, the number 12 ranked ASU women's hockey team entered the new year with a series sweep over Grand Canyon University last weekend at Oceanside Ice Arena. The Devils scored 8 goals in the 2-game series against the Lopes, including a 6-1 victory last Friday night. Freshman defenseman Abby McGee notched 3 goals and a team-high 4 points over the weekend. The Devils are currently 3rd in the WWCHL standings with 28 points and will host the University of Colorado Boulder February 7th and 8th in Tempe for a 2-game set.
Staying on the ice, last year Arizona State's men's hockey team made a miraculous run to the NCAA tournament. A year later, they're trying to find that same success. Our Reagan Smith explains the selection process and where ASU stands.
If you're most teams, there's one super simple way to qualify for the NCAA tournament, and that's just to win your conference one. But Arizona State isn't most teams. No, as an independent school with no conference to call its own, ASU's tournament aspirations rely solely on the pairwise ranking system, a system that combines a team's RPI, record against common opponents, and head-to-head matchups. Now, with only 16 tournament spots available and 6 of those going to said conference champions, the Sun Devils need to target around a top 10 finish in the pairwise. The good news? They currently sit 11th with 8 games left. The bad news? Well, there's 8 games left. And the Sun Devils can only afford to lose 1, maybe 2 games at most. One thing is for certain, though. It's go time for the Maroon and Gold.
We mentioned ASU wrestling's success earlier in the show, but with their last meet coming up, our Kelsey Calasi took another look at the program as it gets ready for its senior day.
This season, wrestling fans have been treated to takedowns, pins, and a chance to storm the mat as the Sun Devils remain undefeated inside of Desert Financial Arena. Corey Teamer, who got his first career pin last week, wants the fun to continue.
I mean, just big crowds, and being at home. I like to entertain people, so being an entertainer, I like doing that.
Friday is the final home duel, and the Sun Devils welcome Stanford, a familiar Pac-12 foe.
We've got a bullseye on them. You know, they got in our way last year of our goals, and so we want to do something about it, particularly on senior night.
This match marks the last night that head coach Zeke Jones' first recruiting class will wrestle at home.
We're going to miss them, right? I mean, having Josh and Zahid and Tanner in the lineup, I mean, that's been the mainstay of our program for 5 years. And so it'd be sad to see them go, but to watch them, you know, venture off in the next phase of their lives, they're so ready for life and success and their next chapter that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Though tonight is their final match at home, the Sun Devils still wrestle all next month on the road, leading up to the NCAA tournament in March. Visit our website for continuous coverage. For WCSN, I'm Kelsey Calasi.
ASU Gymnastics is searching for its first Pac-12 dual meet win of the season. After losing to number 5 Utah in Salt Lake City last Friday, the Gym Devils are back in action this Saturday against number 10 Cal at Desert Financial Arena. Our own Rachel Phillips caught up with head coach Jay Santos at practice this week to get his thoughts on this upcoming weekend.
Jay, obviously a bit of a shaky start last weekend. How different is it starting on bars compared to vault?
It's just a different event. Obviously, I mean, different things go into each event, and vault's a little more just run, go hard, aggressive. Bars is certainly probably a little more just process to it, but at the same time, it's things we practice all the time. I mean, we practice starting on different events here in the gym and things like that. And unfortunately, just kind of we had a day that got away from us a little bit.
Jasmine Gutierrez did an exhibition on both bars and beam. She came third out of ASU scores on bars and tied for third on beam. How close is she to getting a start?
It's gonna depend on what happens in practice. I mean, one routine here or there isn't the make or break. It's a process of preparation, practice, how you handle those situations and things like that. It all goes into it.
You've scored 195s already this season. Where do you want the total score to get to?
Obviously, to be competitive, we're looking, you're going to look to 196s, 197s. So, we've got some work in front of us. So, but the bottom line is, we've got to start eliminating mistakes, start putting leads together and just start getting some momentum rolling in that way. And, just not getting those up and down events where we have, 2 good events, 1 bad event, that type of thing. Just really trying to put it all together, and show what this group works towards and does in practice all the time.
This weekend, obviously a big meet, number 10 Cal, and on top of that, the salute to service. Do you think that gives all the gymnasts a bit of extra motivation?
I think it will. I think they enjoy these things, and we've got obviously several girls that have ties to the military in one way or another. So I think it's always nice to have have these things and give back to the community in some little way. And obviously bringing in another big Pac-12 opponent and is always great. And I hopefully being at home and Desert Financial will familiar surroundings and things like that, and we can just get into our groove.
Gareth, it's time for me to crush you at my favorite segment of the show. It's time for The Way It Is. Gareth, you and I are going to ask each other a series of 3 questions, answer them to the best of our ability, and then the guys in the studio are going to pick who answered them best. The winner gets a monologue. We'll jump right in. ASU baseball's season gets started in just 2 weeks. They're ranked as high as number 3 in the nation. Do you think they live up to the early season hype?
Absolutely, Jacob. I mean, you got arguably the number 1 overall prospect in Torkelson. You got Alika Williams, Gage Workman. I could go on. They have so many prospects in the top 100. This is their year to make a push for the College World Series. The Pac-12 has taken a bit of a step back. I don't think about ASU, though, so I'm definitely living up to the hype.
See, I think you make a lot of great points. They definitely do have the firepower offensively, but 3 is a huge number to start the season out. They were not even close to number 3 last year. I think they're going to make a huge jump, potentially even top 10. 3, though, no go.
We'll see. ASU men's basketball lost in a game winner on Wednesday to Washington State in Pullman. The team is now 12-8 on the year, 3-4 in Pac-12 play. Jacob, are they even going to make the tournament this year?
No, Gareth. No, they will not. That was a bad loss. I think that this team certainly had tournament caliber expectations coming into the season, but lately they've been a little bit too inconsistent for me. I don't think they're going to make it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you wholeheartedly. ASU basketball has just been so inconsistent. We saw them take down Arizona, and then, as you just mentioned, Washington State. I mean, I can't see any reason the committee would want to put them into March Madness this season.
Last one. It's a 2-part question for you. Super Bowl Sunday is right here, and the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs will face off in Miami. Tell me your Super Bowl prediction and which company will have the best commercial.
All right, my Super Bowl prediction, I got to go with the 49ers, representing from the Bay Area. And then my favorite commercial I'm looking forward to the most, it's got to be Doritos. I mean, I already eat so many. I think I got to stop eating too much Cool Ranch. But, man, their commercials always make me laugh. They're always something super creative. I think I got to roll with Doritos.
I have 2 problems with your answer. 1, you picked the 49ers. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Okay. 2, you say that you eat Cool Ranch Doritos. That's also an issue. You should be eating just the regular ones. I'm going to go with Pepsi to have the best commercial. I'm also going to win The Way It Is, like I predicted earlier in this.
Come on.
There's really no question here.
Jacob has had too many monologues. You got to give one to me, please.
I don't eat Cool Ranch Doritos.
Well, Cool Ranch is the best flavor.
It's not.
No doubt. Yes, it is. And guess who gets the monologue? As Bobby Hurley walked off the court, pumping up the crowd at Desert Financial Arena following his team's 22-point comeback victory over Arizona, it appeared the outlook for his team's season drastically improved. But after a loss to Washington State, during which ASU surrendered 21 turnovers,
things became a lot less predictable for the Sun Devils. 21 turnovers against the Cougars was the 3rd most in a single game by an ASU team coached by Hurley, and just the 4th time in Hurley's tenure at ASU that the Sun Devils had 20 or more turnovers in a single game. The Sun Devils haven't had turnover issues this season, but they've absolutely had a consistency issue. For every 1 step forward, they've taken 2 steps back. ASU has struggled to move the ball consistently, has not performed well from the field in the majority of its conference games thus far, and their Pac-12 record of just 3-4 brings their struggles to light. Hurley and his team have just 11 games left in the season to prove that they belong in the tournament for the 3rd straight season. However, as inconsistent as they've been, the only consistent thing about this team is they won't be forecasted to march in the madness if they keep this up. And that's the way it is.
Alrighty, it's time for top plays, our top 3 plays of the week. Number 3, ASU hockey taking on Brown a couple weeks ago. This is Joshua Maniscalco with the game winner in overtime, firing it past the goaltender. ASU erases a 3-goal deficit to take down the Bears.
From frozen to firing away, we head on over to USC. Arizona State gets the winner, triple overtime against USC. Jamie Rudner feeds Riley Richardson for the game-winning triple. An unbelievable win for the Sun Devils. Charlie Turner Thorns 500th win with the team.
Riley Richardson, she's got ice in her veins. You know who also has ice in their veins? Alonzo Verge. Last Saturday night, the game-winning layup here against Arizona to take the lead 66-65, and that would be the final score. One more look. You think he's going there on the screen? Nope. He's going to take it with the right hand. ASU, they erase the 22-point deficit and take the win over the Wildcats, Jacob.
A lot of fire in those top plays, Gareth.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? You did an unbelievable job. It was only your first time here with us.
You're too kind.
You were great today. Thank you
you
for joining us. So for Gareth, Kwok, my name's Jacob Rudner. For everybody in the studio, thank you so much for joining us for this first episode of Season 13 here on Cronkite Sports Live. With that, I'll talk to you later. See you next week.